All right. Okay, Jamira's here. We have 10 participants. Ebenezer, the 34th precinct is here. Wonderful, wonderful. Okay. The incarceration unit is here. Sandra Sanchez is here. Jamira. So we have, but we don't have.
Good evening.
Good evening. Hi, Jocelyn. Hi, Jocelyn.
Hi, how are you, Barbara?
Fine. We don't have yet, there's myself, and Jamira, our panelist. OC is going to be a little late. If we could wait. Oh, and Joseph is here. So there's myself, Yossi, and Sally Fisher is here. But Sally, are you on the, let me confirm with,
I'm not on the committee, but
okay,
I'm,
yeah, I didn't think so. Yeah. But welcome. You can be a panelist, though. You should be a panelist. Yeah, make sure that, Sally, yeah,
promoted
you
me.
are listed as panelist. You're in. Okay, fine. Excellent. Okay. But committee members, myself, Joseph, Jamira are here. So that's 3. But the current listing for okay, thank you. Gabriella says she's trying to connect.
I just sent her an email.
Okay.
She's trying, because the problem is I think she didn't come in as a panelist. She's trying to come in, I think, as a
Host.
yeah, whatever. She'll get on soon, I think. I just sent it to her.
Okay. All right, great. You'll take care of that, Joseph. Thank you. Okay. Fine. All right, so I'm checking now in terms of the current membership of the committee, if that will give us quorum. Oshi will be a little late because she's currently collecting a bunch of cats in a van. So that's where we're at. So we currently have our current, let me just start with this. And Chanel, if I'm incorrect, please correct me. Our current committee members are Domingo Esteves, Jamira Alciber Ramirez, Gabriela Estrella.
Jumirna is pronounced Jumirna Alcober Ramirez.
Okay, Jumirna Alcober Ramirez. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, Jamira, do you have a can you come on with a video so we can see your face? Gabriela Estrella. Oh, hi. Okay, hi.
How you doing? Thank you. Happy Black History Month, everybody.
Okay. Danielle Jetu, Joseph Kalinsky, O.C. Kamener, Daniel Bonilla. And Chanel, is Genesis Salas on the committee?
Yes.
Yes?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So is that the full committee membership?
And Wendy Pena.
Oh, and Wendy Pena. Okay, I didn't have that one. Okay, Wendy Pena. Okay, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Plus me is 9. So we need 5 for quorum. There's 9. We need 5 for quorum. Okay. So we are currently at 1, 2, 3, 4. No, we were or 3. 1, myself, Jumirna, 2, 3, and then Gabriella will be on soon. That's 4. So we need 1 more for quorum. We need 5. We can start though with reports and announcements. Joseph, have you solved the Gabriella problem yet?
If she sees my email and clicks, she should be able to. I'll not much more I can do. I'll try following up with her again.
Okay, please. Because then I'll start. Oh, Chanel, Annette Fernandez is on the agenda for the March on Sunday against gun violence. So when we get to that on the agenda, can you elevate her to be a panelist, please?
Oh, I did it right now. Okay, but
Oh, okay. Well, you can do it now. Go ahead. No
Okay.
problem, probably. Okay. Keep it easy. Okay.
yeah.
Why not? Okay.
You could change your name. I'm sorry, you came in under my name with my link, Gabriela.
Oh, I have two Josephs here. Oh, okay.
No, well,
All right.
one's better looking than the other. It's fine.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Oh,
I
the
couldn't
second
join
Joseph
from
is-
mine, so it is a
I
pleasure
gave you, I
to
guess
have
it's
your
all
name, but
personalized. Okay, yeah. You,
definitely
Oh,
look
you know how to
yes,
change
it
it?
is.
It's on, if you touch the three buttons on the top, if you click
Okay.
on that,
Oh, let's just leave it. I don't, if it's
Oh, there
not
you go.
broke, don't
Okay.
fix it. I'm afraid we'll lose her.
She
You know,
got it.
it's
She got it.
official. Her picture is there. And we see her. So it's official. So we have, let's see, we have, one, myself, Gabriella, 1, 2, 3, and Jumirna, 4. We need one more for quorum. As soon as we get Danielle or someone,
We can start without quorum though.
we
can't
can start without quorum. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, let's start. 4 is good. 4, and we have other people here too. And we also have participants. We got the word out some, and we have 5 attendees from the community, which is, I think, good. We have Julio Batista from New York Presbyterian, and then we have some people that I don't know, but I'm glad that they phoned or come in. All right, the first thing I would like to, I'll call the meeting to order. First of all, will someone take minutes, please? Joseph, you haven't taken minutes in a while. Could you do that tonight, please? Please.
Okay, I will.
Okay, all right. It's also being recorded, so if it gets a little tough, you can just pick it up off of YouTube, okay? I'm very grateful for this, very grateful. Okay. All right, the first thing, so I call the meeting to order at 7:14 p.m. Without quorum. The first thing I'd like to announce is Domingo has been very overwhelmed with his very productive youth development work. And so he called last night and said that he felt he couldn't really function as the head of the committee. And so he was going to resign as the chairman of the committee. And he asked that at least as assistant chair, that in the interim, I would function as that. So there will be some movement in the committee. He will stay on the committee, but he just really can't carry the load of being the chairman. He's doing a lot with the youth basketball and the youth development work here in the community. Matter of fact, when he called me and we spoke again this afternoon, he was on his way up to Boston, where he has a couple kids in colleges up there and doing some mentoring and counseling and making sure they kept their academics up in counseling. So that's the first thing. The second thing is I would like to, maybe we should wait for the 34th to be on, to acknowledge the funeral today and for Officer Wilbert Mora, and a very sad day, but a great show of strength and respect by the NYPD. And I think we'll wait till the 34th is on and we'll continue with that. And that's the main thing. I would also like, I guess the next thing would be to the approval of last month's minutes. Did people review who were at the meeting? Did you review the minutes? Were they satisfactory? Are there any suggested changes or revisions in the minutes? Everything okay? All right, 3, 2, okay, we don't have a quorum to vote up approving them, but we'll wait a little bit and get back to that, okay? All right, so we can begin with some reports from, and I would also like to assiduously follow up on things that we discussed in the last meeting and not let things drop. So would we like to, maybe because also they're under a lot of pressure and time, would we like to start with the 34th precinct? Are they here? I see they're muted and off of video. Is the 34th precinct here tonight? No? Yes? Because they said they might not be here, but they sent a précis of the last 28 days.
Hi, Barbara. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, this is Officer Aim from the 34th Precinct. I'll be filling in for Lieutenant Tavares tonight. Good evening. How are you guys?
Oh, I'm fine. Lieutenant, who is this? Officer who?
Aim.
Okay. AIM?
AYME. I'll be filling in for Lieutenant Tavares.
Thank you. And thank you for coming, because it's certainly been a stretch the last couple days. We really appreciate your stretching to come.
No, I appreciate that. So you want me to go over the 28-day period?
Yeah, and Chanel can also put it up on the Chanel, could you put it up so people could see it?
Okay.
Thank you. If you give her just a second. She's going to put it up on the screen, but you'll be able to continue to talk. We're trying to get more.
Yeah, I mean, we could wait to put up on the screen so that way I can.
Here she's doing it, has started screen share. Okay, there we are. See, that makes it better for you. You have to make it go a little higher, Chanel. We've seen mainly a little bit lower. No, lower, bring it down lower. Or maybe you can move it up and down as he wants it, but you move it down lower now. No, down lower. You're at the bottom of the page. There, that's good. Okay, start with that. Okay.
Okay, so for this 28-day period, you can see there in the little matrix in the middle.
Yep.
This 28-day period in 2022, thankfully, had no murders. We've had 2 rapes, which were up 100% from last year. Last year we had 1. This year we have 2, unfortunately. Robberies, we have 11 this 28-day period, down 21.4% from last year. I'm going to skip assault because I'll come back to that. Burglaries, we have 10 this 28-day period. We're down 16.7%. Grand larcenies, we have 49, up 8.9%. And grand larceny of autos, we've had 40 this 28-day period, which were up 471.4% from last year, which is very significant. We are working on reducing that, And for felony assaults, we've had 9 this 28-day period. As compared to last year, we had 21, so we're down 57.1%. Out of the 9 that were taken, 4 of them were domestic related. 5 of them were not domestic related. I've included the weapons used in these felony assaults. One was a bat. Another one was a glass cup. Another one was someone was pushed into a table, hit their head. One was stabbed from a knife. We had someone that threw a rock at someone that whipped someone with a bike chain, a metal bar. Someone was hit with a cell phone. And we've had 1 strangulation, domestic related, that were classified as a felony assault. And in regards to animal abuse complaints, we've had 9 311 calls, in which all were unfounded by our patrol cops. In regards to 911 animal cruelty calls, we've had 3 this 28-day period. All 3 were unfounded, so no reports were taken in regards.
Mhm.
That's all I got.
Okay. Do people have some questions? Other people go first. Other people, well, leave the picture up, Chanel, leave it up. So, because people would ask questions on the page. Other people have questions? Sally, OC, anybody there?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, Sally.
Yeah, how do you record shootings in the neighborhood? Where do we find information on shootings in the neighborhood?
Sure. Yeah, I can get that for you. I can get back to you on that. We record shootings. We have a system called ShotSpotter that once it detects they're on top of some buildings in throughout the city. They detect the rounds that are shot, and they come back to our system, and we can hear them. And sometimes they're car mufflers. Sometimes they are actual, shots from firearms. So we would respond that way and do an investigation when we get on scene, or through 911 calls. If someone hears a gunshot or sees a crime of that nature, they will call in, and we would report. We would go to the location, and if rounds are shell casings are on the floor, through a video or through people complainants or victims. That's how we would record it, and then we would take a complaint report, and that would be forwarded to the detective bureau, where they would do investigation on that. I don't know if that answers the question.
That would be useful information, especially because we have a big issue with guns. So it'd be interesting to not only know how many shootings, but also how many gun recoveries we've had in the area, if any.
Absolutely. I'll let Lieutenant Tavares know, and we'll have
Right.
that for
And then-
you.
Yeah. Could we make that a regular monthly statistic? Guns recovered?
Guns recovered? Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I think, yeah, because we can keep track
I
of
think it's good that we do, write that down, track that. However,
Yes,
on the list,
that's
based
why I
on what has
suggested.
occurred in the time frame, I think that the preventive measures should be ideally what we propose, rather than automatically thinking that they're going to occur in our community. Because if we see the data of what has occurred throughout this time frame, these weapons like guns have not been used. So we should be thankful that we have a safe space, because right now, people are afraid of gun violence. However, in our community, Washington Heights, based on this, look at the weapons being used. They're not using guns. So we should spread the message of keeping it that way.
Mm-hmm.
So I would.
Wait, one at a time. Come on, it's not a chat group.
Okay.
Yes.
The other statistic that I would like is how many EDP calls come in and what the response to those calls are.
Yes. Yeah. Sally is also on the Health and Environment Committee.
So how many calls come in for EDPs? And my last question, and this I know is really sensitive, but I'm trying to understand what, is there for domestic violence incidents? Is there a domestic violence team that typically would go out for those kinds of calls?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Highly trained domestic violence officers.
Because I'm curious why that wasn't the case with the 2 officers that we lost.
Yes, Sally. In regards to domestic violence, we do have a DV unit. They're located in most precincts throughout the city. Once we take a domestic incident report, it is forwarded to that unit, and they start their own investigation. They also follow up on the victims and the callers. They do home visits, and they conduct arrests in regards to that. So it definitely is followed up, and unfortunately, with the 2 officers. I'm not sure what was the precautions taken in regards to the domestic violence unit. Sometimes things things like that happen, unfortunately.
Right. No, that was a terrible tragedy. But if we could get, I'm particularly interested in the EDP calls in addition to the things that I mentioned about shootings and guns recovered.
Barbara,
yes.
if I could just add really quickly,
Yes.
to what Officer Ames was saying in terms of domestic violence. Like he said, there are units in each precinct headed by a sergeant and 3 officers usually. And, it depends what tour they work. They work different tours, so they don't always respond to every domestic violence call. It's impossible for them to do so because of the high volume of domestic violence calls. So it's not unusual for patrol officers to also answer TV calls.
Okay.
Yes.
And if we could get maybe
I would, Sally,
monthly
please,
reporting,
Sally.
if we could get that as well.
Yeah.
What is it that you would like to get, Sally?
The number of guns recovered, the number of shootings, the number of EDP calls that come in and the response, and also the number of domestic violence calls that come in and the response.
The problem with domestic violence calls is they don't come over as domestic violence. There's no classification legally of domestic violence. It's usually assault or whatever the action was that is classified as domestic violence. So I don't know, and correct me if I'm wrong, Officer Ames, I don't know that there's an actual number of domestic violence arrests made, rather assaults that are then classified, or robberies or whatever that are then classified as domestic violence because of the nature of the relationship. Is that correct, Officer Ames?
Yes, you're correct in that aspect. Usually when we make arrests, it will be classified as, an assault or a burglary or, robbery. That would be determined on scene by the officers that handle those jobs. I could try to get you, DIR reports done. I could talk to Lieutenant Tavares and see what type of information we can give you to help you out.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I would like to comment on what Jumirna, is that right? Said, noticing that the weapons used is very, very wonderful. You supplied that in these felony assaults, there were no guns used. I do have to comment though, that knives are tending to be the weapon of choice lately. Maybe not this month, but in other months. And knives are also very lethal. And I know that that's a problem that you're dealing with. Under the grand larceny auto, which was discussed last month as a rising problem, do you have any sort of sense that how many of these were due to keys being left in cars?
This is Officer Aim.
Yeah.
Many, I don't know the exact percentage, but many of those grand larceny of autos were indeed people who park and they leave the ignition on. A lot of people, they have the push to start buttons. So, they leave the car on, they go inside to pick up food or to do whatever they need to do. They leave the car outside, and there are crews that are driving around just, kind of like staking out who's leaving their cars like that. And then they just take the car. And, we're working very hard on, on preventing that. We've been giving parking summonses to people that are leaving their cars on. And there's only so much we can do, but we're doing the best we can.
Can you turn the car off? I mean, if the door's left unlocked, turn it off?
Oh, absolutely. I would if I would leave my car, but a lot of people, unfortunately, they don't have that mindset of, if you're leaving your car unattended, someone could just come and take it, so we've had, I think, brochures and pamphlets on social media. Don't leave your car, unlocked, unattended, so,
What about putting information at gas stations?
That's a good idea. That's something I would bring up to community affairs.
Yeah. Like at the tanks.
That's a
I mean,
great recommendation.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe you can't leave paper around tanks because of fire, but somehow at the gas stations that making sure that it's getting maybe at certain fill up times, or talking to the guys who are, like, I'm thinking like the one by Dykeman and Payson, or the one that's over by 207th Street. Have them cooperate with you to get those brochures out.
Yeah, the issue we're having is the majority of those grand larceny of autos are not happening at gas stations. You know, because the person gets out their car, they fill up their tank, they're around their car. What's really happening when people are leaving them double parked and they go get food, or they're hanging out.
Yeah, it's Dunkin' Donuts and Chase Bank, exactly. But I'm thinking that
or sometimes putting their kids, picking up the kids from upstairs. Family urgency, pregnant family members. A lot of situations cause that.
But I'm thinking that the way to be able to reach a lot of people would be at the gas stations, because they go to the gas stations. So, and also maybe have a brochure, like a sticker or something on the brochures, that something stuck in the brochures saying, do you know that like 40 cars got stolen in the last month in Inwood? Would sort of make people think a little bit, because they all think it doesn't happen, it wouldn't happen to them. And that, year to date, over 100 cars have been stolen in Inwood, or whatever, something like that. But, I think that might be helpful. What do you think? Yes, no?
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, have a little filler, over 100 cars have been
allowed. I don't see why they wouldn't allow us, but
yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Okay. What else did I want to ask? Oh, when it's under grand larceny, like there's been 8 incidents, or felony assault, when a gun is involved, like with felony assault, or robbery, how many, and we had it in the questions in the Q&A, how many robberies, for example, where a gun was used but not fired? And I believe someone put that in the Q&A too.
Don't quote me on this. I believe none of those robberies involved a firearm that was fired. There are robberies in there that there was use of a display of a firearm, like menacing. I can get you that exact number.
Yeah, I think we should be told that. And when and again, menacing with a firearm, people can have a heart attack when a gun is displayed in front of them. I used to teach prisoners, and a judge gave one of my students 7 years because she displayed a plastic gun, and she couldn't understand it's just plastic, right? And he said, no, you could have given the store owner a heart attack. She got 7 years. Times have changed. So let me see, there's some more in the Q&A. So you think several. I've seen several gunpoint robberies listed on Citizen, no shots fired. Do you have stats for that? Again, right? In other words, so people really want to know that, where there's no shots fired. So people want that stat also. How many robberies and also violent incidents have involved guns, not just robberies, but other issues. And another BG comments, a knife is worse than a gun many times. And if a gun is displayed, it's about to be used. So scent of the community. So any other questions, any other comments, questions from the community? No? Well, I think I would like at this time to acknowledge the loss of Officer Wilbert Mora today. And show the respect for the tremendous showing of, I saw on television today, officers from New Jersey, Boston, further south of here, Pennsylvania, Delaware, and such, who all came to give the family the support and to show the solidarity of with the NYPD. And I think we should take a moment right now in our meeting to reflect on that, and that we lost really a young man, another young man of Upper Manhattan, if we could for just a moment. Okay, we could continue. So, I guess that's it, unless someone has, oh, is there anything being done about cars that have dark tinted windshields? This is a huge problem in Inwood. Officer Aim?
Sorry, Barbara, can you hear me?
Yes. Is anything being done about dark tinted windshields? It's a huge problem in Inwood.
I agree. We have a traffic unit here in the precinct, as do most precincts. It's composed of a traffic safety officer and in this precinct, we have, I'd say about 4 traffic officers that go out and write summonses to people who violate, traffic law. Tints are a traffic violation, and those summonses are issued, as well as other summonses, red lights, stop signs, failing to yield to a pedestrian, many different summonses that are issued. Those are a part of them. That is being addressed. And also, I don't know how these people are driving around with, tints when they're not supposed to pass a inspection with them. But, fortunately, they're still driving around with tints. So our traffic officers are, doing what they can to enforce that, as well as other violations.
What is the ticket for a tinted window?
The price?
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I'm not sure. I can get that number for you.
Yeah.
I could update you on the next meeting, the price.
Okay.
It is enforced in the DMV. Sometimes people get the tints removed, and then the judge waives the price. So,
sure.
But I can get it for you.
Well, I mean, is this an offense like a like a broken taillight, where you have a certain number of days to get it fixed, and otherwise, your license is suspended?
I think the taillight, you could do it in the precinct. I think with the tints, I think they have to go to traffic court if they plead not guilty, and that would be up for the judge to decide.
Now, put you a violent felony override.
Yeah, and as someone just said, fine is, Julio said the fine is up to $150. Maggie Velez said, how can anyone see if there's someone in the vehicle that might be abducted or in trouble? Right? Okay, well, I think that there's people, the assent is that there's not being enough done about it, because you see it all the time. And I think sort of in the roll call, there's got to be a push that, tickets and get written on this, because I see tinted windows buzzed by police cars all the time. No enforcement. That's what I see. But we can't solve that here tonight. You can just take it back to the precinct, right? So anyways, We have someone here from the Civilian Complaint Review Board. This is interesting. Timothy Harrell. Okay. All right. Okay, so I guess that's it. Does anyone else have something to ask or say to the 34th?
I do.
Oh, OC, okay.
Yeah, back to the tinted windows. I think that has to be enforced. This is major, major issue, especially if you want to find out if somebody has like weapon in the car or anything like that, or somebody else can see weapon in the car and call the 911, report it. So that's really important, and it's not being enforced.
Mhm. Good. Okay, anything else? Anything else? All right, and thank you for coming. Thank you for coming, and we'll move on to the 33rd precinct. And I think it's very helpful to have the screenshot of the 28-day up here. I think it really helps the discussion. And so thank you for sending that. And next month, we'll do the same, and we'll have the 33rd also do that. So thank you very much, Lieutenant Aim. Thank you. And I hope we've been helpful to you in a productive way.
I'm sorry, Barbara, I forgot to ask. I'm sorry if I'm jumping. If there were, I came in late, there were any animal cruelty cases in our district?
He put that at the bottom, that there were complaints and they were thoroughly researched and unfounded. And it's there at the bottom of the report. Okay?
Thank you so much.
Yeah. And they are following up as we requested. They are giving that report now. It's there on the report. You can see it. Okay? All right, so thank you. And let's move on to the 33rd. Okay? Is 33rd precinct here? 33rd is 34th. Doesn't look like the 33rd is here. Okay, so why don't we move on to Jocelyn Manaya?
Yes, Barbara. Hello. Good evening, everyone. I'm Jocelyn Manaya. I'm the director of the District Attorney's Washington Heights office. It's a pleasure to be on tonight as well. And I'm joined by Eli Silvestre, who is my right-hand girl here in Heights. So we had a wonderful meeting or an opportunity for the DA to speak with the full board last month, and we were very pleased, and we're going to continue being out in the community and doing the rounds and making sure that we are able to speak to as many people as possible, hear their concerns, and also make sure that the DA has an opportunity to continue speaking about his vision for a safe and fair New York or Manhattan, I'm sorry. As Jamirna said, I want to echo what she said. Happy Black History Month to everyone. I look forward to all the wonderful events that I'm sure that will be occurring this month, although I'm sure most of them will be virtual. But, we must move forward and make sure that we honor Black History Month. And it's also Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month. So our office is going to be doing, as we always do, an all-out effort to make sure that we target schools, high schools, junior high schools, as many PTAs or organizations as possible to raise awareness of the issue of teen dating violence, which is an issue separate from domestic violence, as you can imagine, or intimate partner violence, because it does involve young people, and just making sure that they know what the resources are out in the community, how to stay safe, how to connect with their local NYPD officers if they're in trouble, or certainly some teenagers don't feel like they can go to a parent for whatever reason. For example, I like to give the analogy that when my daughter was a teenager, she wasn't allowed to date. Did that mean that she didn't? I can't say. I know that when she was in front of me, and she abided by my rules, I would like to think, but we never know. But we also want to make sure that they know you can go to a parent. There's so many resources in school, or maybe another adult that they can trust, that they can be able to confide in, because it is a very serious issue. And thankfully, we've come a long way in terms of offering protection. For example, before you can only go to family court to get an order of protection against someone if you had a blood relationship, whether it be a child in common, you were married, so on and so forth. And now that is no longer the case. As long as there was intimate access, even if it was not sexual in nature, it was just dating, you can go get an order of protection through family court. So we want to make sure that we let our community know that there are these options available to them. And there are people that are out there that are willing and able to step up and help them confidentially, you know, and just making sure that they stay safe and that they are safe. So if you know of any school that you think we should reach out to, even though we do a blanket of all Manhattan, and I'm pretty sure we have all the schools covered, but maybe there's a group that you would like to make sure that we have targeted, please feel free to reach out to myself or to Ellie, and we will make sure that if they were not on the list, they will be on the list moving forward. And now I can just, before we take any questions, just have Ellie say hello and say a few words if she would like to.
Thank you, Joss, and good evening, everyone. It's always a pleasure to be back here with Community Board 12 and everyone on the call. Today, I just want to add and speak a little bit about our high school internship programming. I'm excited to share that we are currently accepting applications, and the application, I believe, opened yesterday, and the flyer was approved today. So we'll be sending the current flyer to the board. I will be going over some of the requirements for our high school internship program. The first one is the student must either live or attend school in Manhattan. They should be either a sophomore, junior, or a senior, and they need to be able, they have to commit to a 4-week program, and it typically runs from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Currently, the program will be run virtually given the COVID situation that we are all dealing with. However, there will be opportunities for people to join in person when opportunities arise. It is a great programming. Last year, when the pandemic hit, I had a pleasure to work closely with all the students, and it's super interesting. They are able to come up with their own policy proposals to address, you know, issues that we are all facing within the criminal justice system. They have mentorship opportunities, they have workshops, they have resume workshops, and the program is divided into 2 cohorts. Let me look at the date. The first cohort is ran from July 5th to the 29th, and the second cohort is from August 1st to the 26th. And we will be accepting applications until March 4. And aside from those brief requirements that I just shared, they also have to submit a 1-pager essay, 300 words, and it's very general. The question, it is, I believe it says, let me look at it. What is your interest within the criminal justice system? So they can literally, you know, generalize it and make it their own. And they also have to submit a resume. Now, speaking of resumes, we definitely want to increase the number of students that are from our community, Washington Heights and Inwood. So if you work with a particular group, if you work at a high school or you work with an organization and you are interested in hosting either a resume workshop or work with that particular group in order to in order to get them ready for the application, please let Joss or I know, and we will make sure we work with those students in order to make sure the applications are on point and they are part of this program. If you don't feel like they need to update the resume, but they already applied to the program, please just let us know, just so we can highlight that, hey, by the way, the student applied and they're from our Washington Heights community, because we definitely want to increase the number of students that are from our neighborhood, from our community, from our organizations to be in this program. With that being said, Joss and I are always available with any questions and concerns, so please encourage your young people to apply. Like I said, it was a really great opportunity to see our young students and youth advocates advocating for the things that matter to them and things they want to see within the criminal justice system. So I do hope that many people from our area apply. I'm going to send a flyer to Ebenezer so he can e-blast it. I wish we had a chat option so I can put the link on the chat. However, if you look up the Manhattan District Attorney's Office and just look High School Internship Program 2022, you will be able to see the link with all the requirements, and you will be able to click on the apply here. So please spread the word, and anything we can do to facilitate that, please let us know. Thank you.
I have a quick question.
Wait, if I can also add, aside from our wonderful high school internship program, which is only, bless you, Ellie, which is only during the summer, understandably, because they're in school during the year. We also have a year-round college internship program, as well as internships within other units in the office. So as Ellie said, please avail yourselves of the information on our website, manhattanda.org. so that you can see all the wonderful internship opportunity for college students year round, postgraduate and undergraduate as well. And I believe someone had a question.
Yes, that was me, Jumina, speaking. Thank you for this opportunity for sharing this. So I work in a high school, and we have a lot of young people from Washington Heights and Inwood. And I just wanted to ask, is there a specific age, or is it just based on grade? And also, I would love to create the opportunity where you can, like a representative from your office could stop by the high school I'm at. We do have a lot of kids from our neighborhood there. So I would love to find like a way in which we can just create that partnership for them. Because I do work with that age group. I do work 9th, 10th, 11th, a high school basically. So I would love to do that, please. If there's someone I can talk to, anything like that.
Jamirna, why don't you give us a call tomorrow? Ellie and I will be together in the office tomorrow. I'll give my office number. It's 212.
Okay, give me 1 second to write that down.
Sure.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, 212
Mm-hmm.
335
Okay.
3320. And like I said, Ellie and I will be together tomorrow. Please feel free to give us a call. What high school are you from, Jamirna?
A. Philip Randolph in Harlem, A. Philip Randolph Campus High School.
Okay, wonderful. So we'll also connect you with Linda Jones-Janay. She is the director of the Harlem office as well, just so that you can have all of our contacts. But definitely give us a call tomorrow, and we'd be happy to chat with you and see how we could set up a visit to your school.
Thank you so much, Jocelyn.
Absolutely.
And I just would like to add, thank you, Jocelyn, for answering her question. And regarding the age limit, there's no age limit as long as they're either sophomore, junior, or current seniors that will be graduating this year. So like that, everyone can have that information. And we look forward to connecting with you. And I believe my aunt used to work at the school, so I look forward to connecting with you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Of course.
Barbara, you muted.
Okay, Ellie, I would suggest that because I think this would be a good contact to have, and also probably a good source of knowing some motivated students, the New York City Urban Debate League, which is what manages and organizes the debate clubs in the high schools around the public high schools around the city. I don't know if they do the private and parochial schools too, but you know, I always think future lawyers often come out of debate clubs. So why don't you get a hold of them? You can just Google the New York City Urban Debate League.
Okay, I just wrote it down. Thank you. We typically e-blast also most of our programming to the DOE, citywide, but I know this is a particular group. So I wrote them down and we can look them up to see if we can send them the information.
Yeah, also, do you, well, they manage the tournaments. So in other words, the kids come out of the high schools and into these tournaments. Also, are you also connecting with the charter schools, the parochial schools, and the private schools?
I believe so.
Every school in Manhattan, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Every school, every high school.
It's not
every high
just
school.
public school. Yes, every high school.
Okay, and what response do you get from the non-public schools? Like the charters and the parochial schools?
I don't know that we try.
Yeah, go ahead, Joss. You're freezing, Joss.
That way.
Wait, Joss, cut off.
Barbara.
You two are freezing up.
Joss might come back to that question, Barbara, but thank you.
Okay, come back. Okay. Good. All right. Oh, the other question I had was at last month's meeting, you discussed with Julio Batista. Maybe we could upgrade Julio at this point. Bring Julio up. Chanel, can you upgrade Julio? we had discussed, Julio had suggested around the issue of scams on especially seniors, developing some theater to workshop to help seniors and such avoid being taken in by various scams. And you'd mentioned, because that's a big deal in your office. And Domingo's having to step down a little bit as participant rather than big leader. But I was wondering if you had made any headway on that. You were going to talk to, I think, the theater workshop. Any status update? Is this still percolating?
I was able to connect with Mino. Mino's a longtime friend of the office, and we did have a good discussion. So we're looking at partnering. It's not going to be right away. They're super busy with other projects, she mentioned, but she's very excited, to join us with talking and feeling this through and see what it looks like. So we'll, we've partnered with them before, as my brother Julio mentioned. And, it's been wonderful for the community to see what we're talking about in action. So we're excited to get this going, but it's not going to be right away, like I said, because she mentioned they have other projects, but she's excited to come to the table and start looking at this new project.
How long, what time frame are you looking at?
So here's the thing, if one of the things that Mino and I discussed was, if we're going to go in and do it in person, we want to do it in a way that's safe for our seniors. I think it's being in person is much more effective for them to see,
Yes,
feel.
absolutely.
So I mentioned to her, if we're going to do this, it probably won't be till later on in spring or early summer. And then it could possibly be after that. And we also have to circle back to the chief of our elder abuse unit, who I'm going to bring into the conversation now, because I wanted to discuss things with Mino first. So it's going to be a while, but that's not going to deter us from continuing to get the message out. It's just going to take a little longer to get creative with the message, but we're excited about it and we're looking forward to it.
Sounds good. And we'll try to plug in that in with you too. So we're looking at kind of a July launch date, maybe.
Right, maybe.
Okay.
And again, it's totally dependent on them and their schedule and their possibilities, but we'll follow up with you down the line and let you know where we are with the project. Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome.
Any other questions for Ellie and Jocelyn?
I had a couple of things to say.
Okay.
First, I just wanted to thank you guys for being at the general meeting. And I know you've gotten a lot of pushback, and I just want you to understand that there are a lot of us who are very much in support of the direction that the district attorney is taking his office. So I know that you're not hearing a lot of praise, but we have great praise for him, and that's the reason we voted him in. I also had a question, though. At one point, I think under DA Vance, there might have been a basketball or some sort of program that y'all were funding through some of your recovery of funds. And I don't know if those programs will continue. And
so, yes, Sally, it's called Saturday Night Lights.
Yes.
And yes, it was started off with asset forfeiture funds. And the programs are continuing. We have kept a small number of programs under our direction, and the bulk of them have now gone under DYCD because, as you know, money finishes. Money is not infinite. We wish it was, but it's not. So we were very careful to partner with agencies that would be able to pick it up and keep it running and keep it going smoothly, even after the asset forfeiture funds, were diminishing. So yes, they are in existence citywide, if I'm not mistaken, Ellie. And other DA's offices have jumped in from all other boroughs as well. So yes, the programs are still in existence, and we're happy to provide you with a list of all of the programs, and specifically the programs that are still under our purview.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
You're
yes,
very-
please bring that next month. Yeah, please bring that. And also, a description of the quality of coaches. I remember when I was on Housing and Human Services, I remember we'd asked about girls being included, and you had started with girls, I believe, volleyball, and the coach had been the coach for the Jamaican Girls Olympic Committee and such. So
Yes.
and also the for the basketball, you were having fitness coaches come up from the NBA, from the Knicks. So I think
Yes,
if you could
so
also
the
bring,
idea has always been from the beginning, bringing in high quality staff, coaches, trainers, and now that they've expanded to not just basketball and volleyball, but a whole slew of other programs, that has always been the prerequisite that these coaches be, a gold standard, because we want the youth to be receiving instructions and mentoring and and structure from coaches that know what they're doing. So yes, that continues to be the norm, and at least for the programs that we started off, and we have every faith that DYCD will continue to make sure that that's the gold standard moving forward as well.
okay, great. So
And I
bring that
got-
Thank
next
you.
month.
Thank you for remembering that, Barbara.
Yes.
I try to be on top of stuff. Okay. All right. So anything else, anybody? Okay, well, thank you for coming, and we'll move on. Okay,
Thank you.
we'll move on. And so we also have here, we have with us the Jocelyn, John Garcia, Willie Batista, Superintendent Miller from the incarceration unit at 163rd Street, right?
Good evening, everybody. Edgecombe Treatment Facility.
Edgecombe.
Yeah, Edgecombe.
Corrections Facility, I should say. Corrections Facility.
State Department of Corrections and Community Supervision.
Mhm.
I'm here tonight in solidarity with the NYPD, the loss of Rivera and Detective Mora, the loss for the city. I think we can't forget that when we think about what we could do overall for safety for everyone, and it's paramount to understand that. We were able to send some officers, and they connected with officers from other facilities, and were at the funeral today. So thank you for the moment of silence.
Bravo. Bravo.
So it's important that we remember that. So with Edgecombe, our commissioner testified last week in front of the legislature regarding the executive budget that the governor announced. So there's a number of initiatives that are being mentioned. So we may have further announcements in the future when we know how we're impacted by the new budget coming up. Presently, we still have work release women in the facility, and we still have incarcerated individuals that came from Rikers Island, as well as incarcerated individuals releasing to the community from upstate facilities coming through Edgecombe. So that's our current population. Last month, we were hit hard with the Omicron surge, and much like the rest of the city, we actually have 0 staff and 0 incarcerated individuals with COVID right now. No one out on contact trace. So we're very glad to get through that stretch. 88% of our staff is vaccinated. We offer the vaccine and boosters to incarcerated individuals. So we're doing everything we can in that regard. I would ask anybody that's on this Zoom meeting right now to save a date, June 7th. We're going to look to do a community a tour for anybody that wants to come to the facility and do a tour. We're going to do a private citizen tour. So save the date, June 7th. That's a Tuesday. It'll probably be in the date like 11 o'clock. So give you enough notice that you can adjust your schedules to attend if possible. We'll see where we're at with COVID and how many people we can have.
What time is that again?
11 a.m. on a Tuesday, June.
And you have to register, or people just show up?
No, you have to register because we have to do a gate clearance for you to get into the facility. And
Jesse James isn't invited, huh?
Just in case, you know, we would do the same thing like when we had our community advisory, either proof of vaccination or proof of negative test, unless that changes between now and June. But we definitely ascribe to being a part of the community. Are our DA reps still on the line? Are they still on? I see them off camera, but they're.
Let's see.
Yes, we're here. We're here.
Oh, hey, Doug.
Hello, Superintendent.
Hey, how are you? Yeah, we look forward to meeting with the DA's office as well, since we're in Manhattan and you know, talking about different things. I would tell you from being in the criminal justice environment for over 20 years, and I've worked a lot of different positions. I've been a parole officer, I've been a parole prosecutor, I've been a reentry manager, and a superintendent of facility. And I'm going to tell you that when it comes to gun violence in particular, it is a repeat offense. People often repeat the behavior. They get caught with a gun, they get arrested, they're released, they use a gun again. It's a repeat behavior. It is the kind of thing that has to be targeted in general, as well as the things such as the gun pipeline, how the guns get into New York. But the people that use guns, they repeat that offense. So you have to target it. And I would say you have to, I don't want to say the nuclear option, but if you, it used to be a lot stricter if you got caught with a gun. And when it was like that, there was less guns on the street, just honestly. So just a conversation worth having when you talk about where to put the resources. Of course, we talk about education, giving alternatives for the youth. There's a whole discussion about the laws and how the youth are being used to carry weapons because of raise their age and they won't go to state facilities. You know, they're trying to circumvent the laws. There's a lot of things to look at in those elements. I think it's wonderful to have the internships, the tournaments, all the things to keep youth busy so they don't get involved in gangs and those alternatives. Like I said, we have adopted the middle school next to us. We are there for them to do, you know, workshops and speak at things. They talk about vaping and, you know, that being a concern, middle schoolers vaping. So, you know, we have a Odyssey houses in our facility and they do substance abuse treatment and things of that nature. So they, you know, they can speak to those issues. But just as a community, everybody kind of looking where we slipped instead of where we fell, you know, looking at the core and what we can do. So if anybody wants to get more information, the testimony that took place with the legislature is an archived Senate video from January 26th, the public protection. And our commissioner, Anthony Annucci, he spoke after DCJF, so it was about the 6-hour mark into the 12-hour, but you can, you know, get some details of what's upcoming with docs. With that, that's
well,
my.
If I can just add, and just, I'm not sure if you were aware, but we are your neighbors as well. We're on 166th Street. That's where our satellite office is, right where the community board is. So I welcome you to stop by and say hello as well. We're on the same floor. We're in Suite 6C. You know, gun violence is very, very much in the forefront of the DA's agenda. He has said so time and time again. And in fact, he just recently named the first ever executive assistant district attorney for gun violence prevention. His name is Peter Pope, and he is a seasoned prosecutor. And, you know, he will lead a multifaceted strategy partnering with community anti-violence workers that will be targeting shooters, gun traffickers, gun carriers, domestic violence abusers, and anybody that has an illegal gun, that is carrying an illegal gun. So, there is a strategy in place. So we don't, of course, just deal with trying to do prevention, but we're also going to do targeted enforcement. And I think a lot of that has been lost in the rhetoric and the misguided rhetoric at times from the media. It's been lost, the fact that he's putting all of these things in place, but he is. So we welcome you to the conversation. And, somewhere down the line, we certainly will be inviting you to the table as well, because, it's an issue that we are all seeing time and time again. Just yesterday in East Harlem you had all day long gun violence. I think it was Jamirna that said it best. We don't see that as prevalent here in Washington Heights. Thank the Lord, I will say that, and maybe I should not have said that out loud. But it does happen. It does happen in Washington Heights, and it happens on what seems to be a daily basis. A little further south to us, and so we're very much aware of it. We're very much concerned about the state of our streets, and it's not just the youth. Let's be clear. We have people of all ages that are shooting and carrying guns and everything. So there is a targeted effort, and we welcome you to the conversation, Superintendent.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Do you have more to report?
No, that's my report.
I'd like to ask, from one thing I do want to do with the committee is always follow up on things we have in the minutes. I had mentioned to you last month about the transitional house apartment housing that had opened up near you, the Savannah, and then I sent you the link for it. Have you been able to get in touch with them and make a connection for your community council?
I had my assistant deputy superintendent of programs reach out. I'm trying to remember what she told me. She tried to reach out last week. A matter of fact, she did. She told me she was just going to walk over there because she didn't get anybody. So she said she was going to physically go and try to see if she could connect with someone. So we do have the information. We tried to contact. We didn't get in contact with them, but we are going to continue to make contact.
There is a full-time on-site social worker there, probably 9 to 5. And then they also have their own residence council. That's there. So connecting with those two would be the way to go. And like I said, I think that they can be a good force in the community with you. And also I think that you can get some of your own residents on the waiting list there,
That would be good. That would be good.
That would be good. I mean,
resources, having that seamless transition is definitely a high degree of success.
Lantern is a group. Lantern has how apartment buildings all over the city. It's a group that you should be working with. Look them up. They have at least 6 or 8 apartment buildings around the city. And a lot of it geared toward formerly homeless single men, which is a lot of your population.
Yes.
So it's a group, and they're right there around the corner. And so you should definitely, that's your venue into them. Another question. You mentioned that you have several women that are incarcerated with you that are on work release. What kind of jobs are they doing, and is it leading them to a better skill level?
Excellent question. So our temporary release right now, we have 6 women in the facility right now. And the reason why they're in the facility is because they don't have approved furlough addresses. So they have to stay in the facility. Right now, there's a program pause because of the Omicron surge. So they're not able to leave to go to work. The women that are in the community working have a variety of jobs. We have people working in the fast food industry, but we also have people working with community organizations like Exodus, Our Children. So there's different levels of jobs, retail, some office work. Sometimes they're limited to what types of employment they can get depending on what their offense is.
Mhm.
But in general, we have a partnership with our children. We have a partnership with a CCA, which is a community organization. And we also, there are some employees that routinely will hire our population, but we're also always looking for better employment opportunities for them. You know, but like right now, because of the program pause, they can't even go out. Hopefully it's going to get lifted next week, looking at the percentages going down. They had literally stopped transportation for a while, and they just started that back up. So we figure a week we'll be able for them to go out to seek employment again if they don't have already.
So you're saying these women are incarcerated primarily because they don't have acceptable addresses that they could be released to. Is that correct?
Okay, so a work release incarcerated individual is somebody that's still considered in custody, but if they have an approved residence in the community, they could be at home 5 days and report to the facility 2 days. Or if they're less than 6 months from their parole date, they can actually stay out 7 days a week and just be a day reporter and come see their counselor once a week. So that's a way to kind of help them transition back to the community as soon as possible. But if they approve residents in the city, we can't let them go. Some of them are actually have family members upstate, but they're working in the city. So they need housing in the city. But to be a work release address, it has to be, there's some little things like the address they live at has to have a landline. They have to live with somebody else that is accountable. They can't live on their own. They can't live, rent a room. You know, they want more of a foothold with whoever they're staying with in the community.
They can live with their grandmother.
Definitely. They can live with
if the grandmother does not have a criminal record. Exactly. Right. Okay. I got
It's sort of like a halfway home, sort of.
Say it again, please.
Is this sort of like a halfway home?
Where? Edgecombe?
The facility, yeah, but for the women, that's what it sounds like a little bit.
It's work release. So that's really the original reentry program that's been around for years, and it is a good model. Actually, the problem is years ago they stopped letting people with violent histories participate because of community outrage. They were upset that people that had, murder convictions were doing temporary release. So they stopped them.
No kidding.
But we could talk about it. I
know. Yeah.
But at this time, those violent crimes don't qualify. So you don't have the so basically they stay at the facility. If they have employment, they leave the facility, go to the employment, return to the facility. If they have an approved address in the community, they can go to their employment and stay at the approved address and just come back to the facility part-time, depending on how much time they owe in their sentence. So we don't call it a halfway house. It is a facility. They are, when they come back, they put on the state uniform and adhere to the rules. That's how it is for the female work release population.
How incarcerated are they? Is this a dormitory type setup for them, or are they actually put in cells, clank, lock up?
Oh, no. It's a dormitory setting. It's there's not even top bunks. They all have single
bunk. I know you told us last month the top bunks are removed. So it's
I do have a question. I do have a question on the space. Are the women, do they interact with like the general pop of the men population that's in there, since it's predominantly men? Are these women sleeping in the same space as them? Like what sort of like the arrangement in there for them?
They're completely separated. We have the physical layout of the building is like 3 buildings connected. So they're on the west side, the men are on the east side, and there's a middle portion. They eat separately, they rec separately, they don't interact. Minimal interaction is possible.
Okay. Well, we look forward to June 7th. And how many people would you like to have come to this event?
I'm going to check. When I looked at the basic layout, they said up to 30, but I'd be
small.
The 30 is a lot. we're not that big of a place, but it's 30 would be, I mean, we would just break it up into like 3 groups, so it's easy to go around the facility and everybody can ask their questions and see, and so we would do it like that. But right now that would be a lot because we haven't done, we barely have any kind of movement coming in and out under COVID.
Last question. Do you accept donations of books and games?
Yes, we do. I can, you have my email address, right, Barbara?
Sure. Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna connect.
What about feminine hygiene products? Sorry, can that be included?
I believe so. Only because anything that comes in, we have to check it, we have to search it, that whole kind of thing. But we've had donations of feminine hygiene products. I will give me a chance so I could publicize it to you guys, so you guys could have the information. I'll make a note to get you, so I could tell you.
Because we can have things dropped off at Community Board 12 and then delivered over to you. And you could come to CB12 and check them out. You could do a search at CB12, which is just around the corner, and then you can bring back what passes muster.
Can we drop off at your location directly?
I think
let me answer.
No, it would be a logistical issue. So let me talk with my captain of security and and I'll get
tons of books. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if that would be possible, sure, OC. One thing they have to check with the books, because I went through this with Upstate, that things aren't written in the books.
There's more to it than just that. Only soft cover. It's a whole other thing. Okay, you'll get back to us and let us know.
Okay. All right. Anything else? Let me check the Q&A. Let's see. Oh, by the way, Jocelyn, look in the Q&A if you can. It says, hello, I am a Girl Scout troop leader with older girls. I'm very interested in the teen dating violence program. Cassandra Colazzo. So can you please connect with her?
Cassandra, can you put your, okay, yes, I'll answer her right now.
Okay.
Thank you.
And also, Jocelyn, this is for you, and also what our superintendent brought up about people with guns, do guns again and again. The teen that shot the cop in Rockaway was out on gun charges recently. We're, I guess, expecting a little bit more. And there are other cases where out on gun charges and then charge on guns again. So I think there needs to be fine tuning on that, but that's not on the agenda tonight. That's not for discussion tonight. I don't mean to bring things down, but keep it focused. All right, we now have, here from this Timothy Harrell from the New York City Civilian Complaint Review Board. Welcome.
Barbara?
Yeah.
Barbara? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I just, I'm in the interest of time, just wondering, I'm earlier on the agenda.
Okay.
I really need to go. So.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. We'll do Annette. Okay. And this is the first time here. And I hope you come back often, Annette, because you're very interested in fighting against violence. I shouldn't say fighting, but this is Annette Fernandez. She's a community leader. And she is leading, and she will tell you what she is organizing for this Sunday. Go, Annette.
Thank you. And I'm sorry to have interrupted you.
No.
And I appreciate having the forum with CB12 tonight. My name's Annette Fernandez. I'm the founder of the Washington Heights Women's Walking Crew. And I also was born and raised in Washington Heights. I've lived here for 47 years. And to say that gun violence doesn't happen in our neighborhood for me doesn't feel real, because in August of 2021, this past summer, there was a shooting right on my corner on 183rd and Audubon where 2 innocent bystanders were shot. And then there were 2 shootings that happened in the daylight, one that occurred at 1 p.m. on 183rd and Audubon as well, and then another that happened on 182nd and Audubon in broad daylight across the street from Wheels. So we've had quite a summer and fall of gun violence here on the east side of Washington Heights. So, and we are traumatized. And out of that trauma has come my work with the Gun Violence Prevention Task Force, the Uptown Gun Violence Prevention Task Force that was started with Senator Jackson's office and concerned members of the community. And I think we have a really representative group on that community, and people are always welcome to join that task force. You can get in touch with Senator Jackson's office. I think they saw Joanna Garcia on the screen as well. So she's here. So the walk is a walk to end gun violence, and that is happening Sunday, February 26th. We are asking people to meet at La Amistad School, where Jason Rivera was.
Can you say that again? Sunday when?
Sunday, February 6th at 9:45 a.m. And that is starting at La Amistad at 4862 Broadway. Jason Rivera, as many of you know, attended La Amistad. And then the route is actually going to cover walking from La Amistad to the 34th Precinct, then to 182nd and Audubon, which is right on the corner of Wheels, and then to 176 and Amsterdam, where Lamar Brown, one of our community members, was shot and killed protecting his building against illicit activity. So I hope that everyone will be able to join us. There is also going to be a press conference that morning to kick off the walk, and then we'll be walking afterwards. Does anyone have any questions or comments?
I would suggest that each of those important sites that you're highlighting, that you maybe chalk up the street and the sidewalk to make it clear to people why you're there. You know, take big colored chalk and, you know, commemorate and make clear what it represents, and with maybe have some signs.
Yeah, we've asked people to bring signs. We've asked people to, you know, be creative, and obviously we are doing the best we can to get the word out, and part of being here is doing that. So thank you. Okay.
I think also I'm going to ask Ebenezer Smith, and I think Chanel is on the, who's one of the assistants in CB12 office, to the flyer that you had on Facebook. If you could please send that, email that to Chanel, and then Ebenezer has an extensive Community Board 12 email blast list. I mean, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people, thousands, and he could possibly, he could email that, blast that out for you.
Could I send it to Paola, because that's who emailed me about the meeting tonight? Is that okay?
Yes, same idea. Paulo
Okay.
is fine. Paulo and Chanel work together.
All right, thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, and please come back to next month's meeting. We need, you know, the whole point of this community is it's the community board. You know, this is for the community and for the community to gather and discuss these things. Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. And I think, you know, what we talked about with the workshop, you know, for the seniors who are, you know, to give them ideas about how to, you know, understand how to prevent scams. I think also a workshop model could also help in some of these violence issues. So you might want to think about plugging in on that too. Okay. Thank you,
Thank you
Annette.
so much, Barbara. Take
No
care, everyone.
problem.
Good night. Hope to see many of you on
Thank you. You're
Sunday.
quite an inspiration.
Thank you so much.
Mhm. Okay. All right. Okay. Next we have Timothy Harrell from the New York City Civilian Complaint Review Board. Mr. Harrell? Is he here?
Yes.
Ah, great.
Yes. Hello. Good evening.
You haven't been here before.
Yeah, I have. I just, I haven't been here in a while. I'm one
Welcome
person
back.
trying to service a whole borough, and community boards have a lot of different committees.
Yes.
So I've been getting some experience, which is good. Community Board 12, though, a small old neighborhood. I used to live on 182nd between St. Nick and Wadsworth, but that was some years ago. Stayed up there for a while. Excellent neighborhood. Miss it. So really quick, I am with the Civilian Complaint Review Board. I'm actually the Manhattan coordinator. And as you may or may not know, we're a city agency, independent, separate from the NYPD. We investigate, mediate, and in some cases prosecute allegations of misconduct against members of the NYPD. We are conducting presentations either in person or virtual. If a person would like to have a presentation conducted for them. We have public board meetings every month on the second Wednesday of the month. This month, it will be February 9th. That meeting will be held on WebEx, and it will happen at 4 p.m. So, it's always open to public comment, public participation. And we try to encourage everyone to actually come out and, attend our board meetings and give their input so that we can, take in and see what the city at large is seeing and point out what necessary changes may need to happen in an effort to improve police community relations.
Okay. All right. What in the last month meeting or so, since the new mayoral election, what's the buzz at the CCRB? What's the what winds of change do you see, or no change, or
what
date?
Well, it's still early. It's still early for a lot of things. So, a lot of people are looking to see what's going to happen with this new mayor. With the new mayor, people are waiting to see what's going to happen with the new district attorney here in Manhattan. One of the things that that we're hoping for is that with this collaboration of agencies, that things that the mayor is looking to address, that things will get better. We're still receiving complaints, hoping that this new undercover task force that's going to be new, that this looks different, and just looking for, I guess the best outcome. The effort of the agency is always first and foremost to improve police community relations. So, we're listening and just speaking for myself, we're listening to, the high level of encouragement of cure violence programs and individuals looking to place, resources and a variety of intervention programs in place, along with, members like yourself on the community board. And, it'd be great to see every community board with more people in them, and more of the community taking an active role in what's going on in their neighborhoods. That would be a greater thing, but, we have to deal with what we have, right? So, in working with what we have, the hope is that, there is a collaboration, right, and a greater level of communication between police and community. This is one of the reasons we hold public board meetings, right? It gives an opportunity for the public to actually speak directly with, members of the NYPD. So hopefully as as time goes on, we'll be able to achieve that.
Okay, all right. So are there any monumental cases in the 34th or 33rd precinct in front of you guys?
So that I would actually have to check and actually get back to you with, because I'm actually in outreach and not in investigations. But it wouldn't be a problem that tomorrow I could just literally just ask someone, and if there is, I could always have that information forwarded to CB12.
Okay, yeah, I think if our committee would be interested to know, so, okay, all right. Sounds good, okay.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
I think it will be great if you can send the office, our district office, information about where, just like a flyer, so they can e-blast to our district residents. And maybe, in my view, it will have to happen on a regular basis, so people know that it's there, that there is something. If you have any issues or have questions or even a complaint, that there is a place to go.
Yes.
I feel that it's important to do it at least once a month, because if you do it once a year, people will not remember. And so I encourage you to contact the office and ask them to send flyers about your office and what you do and contact info. That will be great. Thank you.
So actually, Ms. Kamina, I actually do this on a regular basis. Whenever we have a board meeting or something is going on, I share this information with every community board, because you guys are actually the best avenue to get in contact with as many people in a particular neighborhood as possible. So one of the things is that I try to get into as many communities and spaces of either people of color or immigrant populations, because one of the things that we find is that when people in immigrant communities are afraid to or hesitant to file a complaint, should they have a negative encounter, because they assume that it's going to affect their status. So one of the things that we don't do is we don't ask for your documented status. We're not asking that. That's not something that we care about. But people are in fear of that. And one thing that people may not know, so we try to get out and educate people, is that, for example, if you and I are together and something is taking place, if you even witness what you believe to be police misconduct, you could file a complaint. Right? If I'm there and I may be hesitant, but you're there and you witnessed it, you could actually file the complaint for me, right? And one of the things, we're trying to stress, get people to know and become more familiar with, is that even if I have an encounter and I may not necessarily be that fluent in English and I come into contact with an officer, one of the things that an officer has to do is to provide some translation services for me. Right. Another thing that, because of the Right to Know Act, is a lot of people don't know, is that, upon that encounter, the officer has to provide me with a business card so that I know who I'm coming in contact with, right? Who's taking my personal information, right? Because, that's very important. So I want to know and keep track of who, I just gave you my name and my address. You just took that information from me. I'd like to know who you are and who I'm giving this information to. So, we try to get out in all 5 boroughs, but to get into as many spaces as possible. We try to encourage people. We send out blasts to ask, to let people know that we are here to conduct presentations, if you'd like to. So we're reaching out to religious organizations. We're in schools. We're in, churches, mosques, synagogues, as many ESL. We're trying to get in as many places as possible to inform the community, because as old as this agency is, a large part of New York City doesn't even know this agency exists. So, but we're working with like one person per borough. So, our budget is not that big, but we get to a lot of people, so we try to come out to as many events as possible. If Community Board 12 is hosting something or having something, as long as I don't have a conflict in scheduling, I will definitely make it my business to attend it.
Barbara, can you please check with the office to make sure that the flyers are going out? Because if Timothy is sending out the flyers, I don't remember when was the last time I saw something about that.
Chanel's in the office. Chanel should check on that and get back to us.
Okay.
Chanel should check on what Ebenezer's getting out and then report back to us. Okay?
I have a quick question. Do you have any jurisdiction over a Department of Corrections?
No, we don't.
Okay. After they tossed out 2,000 cases, those are just lost.
Yeah, we don't have any jurisdiction over DOC.
Okay.
Only members of the NYPD.
Which you did.
My question, who appoints you to the CCRB?
So actually our board consists of 15 members. So 5 are appointed by the New York City Mayor, 5 are appointed by the New York City Council, 1 representing each borough, 3 are appointed by the NYPD Police Commissioner. These 3 are not members of law enforcement, but they are civilians who may have prior law enforcement background. And then 1 is jointly appointed by the public advocate and the mayor's office.
Okay. All right. Okay. Good. All right. Now, is this a volunteer or paid position?
To my knowledge, it is a paid position, but to my knowledge, most of the board members do not accept payment. So
why not?
I'm not sure.
Okay. It could be if they're volunteer, it's not a conflict of interest. They may be city employees and you can't collect 2 paychecks or something, whatever. It doesn't matter.
I have one other question. Right now, we're in a situation where the police commissioner can override the CCRB's decisions, right? Is that likely to change?
So that would only happen actually with members of the city council, through legislation, because the way that it's written up in the city charter is that the board, after reviewing cases, makes a disciplinary recommendation to the NYD police commissioner. So it's just a recommendation. He then has the power to either go along with the recommendation or he could scale down the disciplinary action for that case. So as it stands, the police commissioner has the final word.
Okay.
You're correct.
So you're advisory, like community boards.
Kind of. It's still like civilian oversight. So
Yeah.
there are trials taking place. So it is an administrative prosecution. So it's a prosecution that's going to affect their job and their standing in the department. It's not criminal or civil.
Mm-hmm.
But as it stands, Ms. Fisher is correct. As it stands right now, the police commissioner has the final say when it comes to disciplinary actions concerning members of service.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So, so you're going to get, Chanel is going to check on if we are getting out what you send, and then you're going to send every month, you're going to send your flyers. Now, do you have a newsletter?
We had one going. There was talk of starting it back up. So when that happens, I will definitely keep you informed, and I will definitely make sure that all the community boards in Manhattan get it. We will make sure that community boards throughout the city get it, but I will make sure that all 12 community boards receive it.
And you're going to also check on if there's any worthwhile cases, whatever, going on in the 33rd and 34th.
Yes, I will check on that for you tomorrow, Ms. Fraser.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Any other questions from the committee? Let me check if there's anything in the chat. Let's see. No, Oh, can they send a notice via email for this March? Chanel, um, going back to the last speaker.
Yes, I will.
Yeah, but for the march against gun violence, Chanel, can you send out via email, the, Annette Fernandez's flyer? Okay, that would be good. All right, so I guess we'll reply to that. Yeah, okay, so great. So thank you for coming. Wonderful. Wonderful.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, the next would be, Sandra Sanchez is here, right?
Correct. Good evening,
Okay.
everyone.
Okay, all yours.
Good evening, Sandra Sanchez, FDNY Community Affairs. Just want to share with you some fire safety tips as I shared last month and probably the previous month before that. Winter coincides with fire season for many reasons. And when we had spoken, I believe the very tragic Bronx fire this had occurred, and there's still many lessons that we can learn from that and that we can apply and use within our homes. But the tip that we would like to highlight on today is really February. The first full week of February is about Burn Awareness Week, and we just want to share some tips for you, some burn safety tips, as oftentimes we find ourselves being creative, whether it be in the kitchen or even with the hairstyle. Because I can attest that I've gotten a bad burn or two from creative hairstyles and heating products thereof. So we remind everyone to make sure that you running the burn under cold water for a short time. A minute or two under cold water is not enough. And really to help heal the wound and ease the pain, run a burn under cold water for 10 to about 15 minutes. So usually we kind of put it, yeah. I was shocked as I was learning this as well. It's a quick, and then we quickly try to wrap it. It's important that you also cover the burn with a sterile material to protect the skin from infection. Use a clean and dry dressing. And also call 911. If it is a deep or extensive burn of any size, please call 911 immediately for further medical treatment if you're not able to transport yourself to a medical facility. That's very important. And some burn don'ts. Do not, as tempting as it can be, do not attempt to pop the blister and further expose the infection. Also, I learned that don't use ice. Ice may actually cause damage to the already damaged skin from the burn. And also do not attempt to remove any clothing or jewelry that may be stuck to the burn. And last but not least, I know this happens to be a little old wives' tale. Do not use toothpaste, butter, or any topical ointment because this may again lead to further infection on skin that is already damaged. As always, we are here, the Fire Safety Education Team, Community Affairs. We're here to support and to educate throughout the community. There's not a place that we will not go. So I will leave you with my email. And should you want to get in contact with me, it's sandra.sanchez@fdny.nyc.gov. Many thanks.
Well, okay, well, Sandra.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Sally.
Yes, the fire that happened at 7478 Post Avenue at the end of November, where are y'all in terms of investigating the cause of that fire?
That's a great question. Allow me to please give me till tomorrow. I'll ask for the report for the fire incident and or marshal's report if need be. So
Great.
I'll make that request and follow up with Ebenezer and the committee. And he said Post Avenue, but that's a notable fire, so that's not an issue.
And I'm curious because that's the second fire of that building within a year. So I wonder if the cause, maybe you could look at the cause of the earlier fire too. But there were two fires at that same location. And then I guess my other concern, last night in Inwood, we had two other fires. So my concern, I appreciate these tips, but basically our neighborhood is burning. And so I'm trying to figure out what can be done to ensure that there are inspections done of our buildings, which have old wiring, the tenants are aware of what to do in case of an emergency. Burns are important, but basically we have people getting displaced. It's like every time I look, go on Facebook, which isn't that often, but there's another fire. And last night there were two.
Okay, yeah, if I could pick up on that, Sally. There was a fire on 190th Street, 540 West 190th yesterday. There was a fire at 1 Arden Street.
One moment, a little slower. I'm trying to write this down.
We'd like you to look those up before you come to the meeting, Sandra, because you're our rep. So
no, that's not a problem. But there are I would say there are, if there's a particular fire and the cause, there are many fires that sometimes big or small. And I'm sure that your goal is to know whether there are trends per se in your community, but when it comes to a specific cause, the only way for me to pull the report, you would have to.
Okay, if you look on Facebook. Okay, but
the address is.
Sally, please
give her the address. Give her the address.
Sally, stop it. I was 540 West 190th. Another was 1 Arden Street. And then last month we gave you the address for the ones that were on Nagel Avenue. That's the second fire in those adjoined buildings. And I'd like it general in the committee here that when there are these apartment fires, to have follow-up on what, as you said, pulling the report, what the cause of the fire was. In other words, it's a big difference between an electrical fire or someone left food burning on the stove, which is a very common cause of fires. But those two fires happened in the last couple of days, and Sally brought up this other one on post. So if you would please research those and then send to the committee the causes of those fires. They appear, especially in one of them, appear to be electrical. And then we have to have within the community board with Ebenezer and such following up on inspections and demanding repairs and things like that. Because as Sally said, the neighborhood is burning and a lot of people are very, very insecure and afraid in their apartments. A very major issue of public safety. So that's the main thing. Sally, did you have other things to add?
No, that's it. I think that we should just, I would also be curious, the fire that happened on Dykeman over the summer. I don't know if we ever got to the root cause of that fire, but that was also something that the landlord said was cat piss, and actually it's probably wiring. So I would like.
Yes, on Seaman, Nancy Preston's building. Yes.
So yes. Perhaps we could, if you could just look for any fires that happened in the 100 in our zip codes, any investigative reports that have been done in the last year.
Yes, that would be good. I would say there's about eight major ones, Sandra, about 8 or 9 major ones.
Oh, okay, but that is a big ask to do it by zip code. Just because again, to track fire, it comes in as fire, and then as investigation goes, one thing, or just the same way there would be a criminal investigation, our marshals actually have an investigation. So sometimes it takes us a little bit of time to figure out what the cause may be if it is not readily visible, or that we can tell once the fire has been put out. But I will, if there's a particular zip code that you will like, I'll see how I would go about pulling that particular information for a zip code or zip codes that are in the confines of Community Board 12.
Exactly. The zip codes that are in the confines of Community Board 12. Exactly.
Which are 10034, 10033, 10032, and 10040.
Okay, I'll see about certainly getting that information, but again, it may be more broader based. So you may get like what would be structural fires per se, and medical
dumpsters,
or maybe incendiary. So those that were done on purpose. That will be able to pull, but it certainly is easier for me, and I'll share this with you and the whole committee. If there's a particular fire, you have the address and the day in which it occurred, you send that over to me. It makes it easier to pull that report within our system.
Okay, Barbara, do you have her address, and we can probably put together a list pretty easily?
No, but we can get it. We can get it. Okay, we can get it.
Thank you very much.
Okay, but also, Sandra, even if you pull it by zip code, the location is going, the type of fire is going to come up. Obviously, manhole fires, dumpster fires, that's all on a certain code, right? The main thing we're interested in are these apartment fires where people are displaced.
Mm-hmm.
We're not so interested in that somebody set a car on fire, because those are happening practically every other day, or something like that. We're not so, or brush fires. That's not the interest. The interest is these apartment fires that are killing people and displacing people out of their homes. That's the real, and I'm sure those are codes in a computer, So, check it out, so.
Barbara, can I have a quick question
Yeah,
here?
go ahead.
I need to understand. So it will be nice to have like an annual report of like all the fires that happen, and like what Barbara was saying, just in apartment, in building, inside the building, not the manhole and stuff that Con Edison related to. I'm a little bit surprised that may be complicated to get. I understand that the resolution of a particular fire may not be handy by the time you come and report back to us, but at least the cause, because it will be nice to see, okay, we had like 2 fires that related to space heater, or 2 or 3 fire that happened to extension cord and so forth. So, and that will help us determine if we need to address and how to address it. And I'm sure that the fire department will be interested in that, because that will help them to determine what they need to do in terms of push like new regulation, new laws, and so forth. So is that kind of information not available to you guys?
I don't understand your question. I mean, the marshal's report will eventually, fire inspector's report will give a cause of fire. So it will say, burnt extension cord, or food left on stove, or electrical wiring. It'll say that.
Right, but I would like the important information is to X percentage of fire happened because of Y. And so this is when we can determine, all right, we have to address why, because that's a major issue. And so I'm assuming that's available to the fire department, because I will be surprised that you don't get some sort of an annual report of all that data.
We do have an annual report, and the annual report often comes out. I want to say we're in February. We're in February now. So usually somewhere around, I've seen it come out in February, like late February once. So I'm not going to guarantee, I'm certainly not going to say that that is the norm, but probably the annual report for last year, 2021, is available within March. But I'll check to see the time on that with our data analytics team to see particularly for that report, and I'll also verify that timeline to see if it has changed within this year. And the annual report has been proven to be very helpful, certainly to identify trends, because we are cognizant of that. One trend that we did not think of and that we noticed between 2020 and 2021 was lithium batteries. The charging of lithium. That's a new trend. That is a new trend. There have been fatalities as a result of it in this past year. So this is something that we are constantly monitoring and analyzing as a whole, and a broader issue of the city within the city. So I'll be sure to share that with you. I made a note because I believe last year, last meeting, we did discuss about this annual report, but I know that's still being worked on, and I will get a definitive time in which it'll be released and share that with you, because it's buried on our page.
If you could also send us a copy of the most recent annual report. And then I have one other question, or one other request. The community board, this is the time when we put together our budget priorities for next year. And so we need you to talk to whoever you need to talk to at the fire department to see what your needs are for the next fiscal year.
Will do, Sally.
Great, thank you. And if you could come back to us at the next meeting, because we'll be sort of on a tight time frame with what your priorities are in terms of budgeting.
Will do.
Okay, all right, is that it? Okay, all right, so thanks a lot, Sandra. Thanks a lot.
My pleasure.
And then Johanna Garcia is also here. Johanna, do you have anything that you want to, from Senator Jackson's office? Did you want to speak to the meeting?
Yes, thank you, Barbara. Hi, everyone, and fellow members of the committee. I'm not sure if you're aware, I was here maybe some months ago to talk about the Uptown Gun Violence Prevention Task Force that our office started. And actually this committee is a member of that task force. Domingo was a representative, and I do understand that he has other responsibilities. So we do welcome another representative on this task force. We've been busy, and that is what the Sunday's press conference is about, is to unveil not only that we're here, that this is a task force, and that we welcome anyone who's willing to work collaboratively on positive solutions that are community-centered, also very much centered around youth and supporting families. But we also want to unveil some of the projects that we have coming up. It's going to be very exciting, and I hope that everyone can come out. As you saw and heard from Annette, Annette is one of the members of the task force. And just so you know, the reason why we started this task force is because our office was hearing and seeing so much chaos when it comes to gun violence on our streets. It just kept getting not abating. It just didn't get better. So I wanted to quickly let you know who the other groups in our task force are. We have people from Harlem Mothers Save, Teen Dreamers, Artistic Noise, Girl Scouts Troop 3205, Inwood Community Services, Viva Uptown, Uptown Community Church, the Washington Heights Women Walking Crew, the YM and YWHA, Inwood Indivisible, 33rd Precinct Council, and of course, as I mentioned, Community Board 12, Public Safety Committee, as well as CEC 6 and the Parent President's Council. And we're eager to expand, and we're going to unveil our blueprint for our community. So we want to welcome and invite all of you. And of course, Annette will speak at the press conference to kick us off for the walk. Besides that, that's relevant to public safety, I also do want to share that Senator Jackson has a bill that does increase penalty for individuals who are caught. I don't know if the threshold is 15 or 20 with weapons, and legislation that I'll provide, I think via email, just so that you all can have it. And there's also another legislation in the Senate carried by Senator Myrie, where it actually goes after the gun manufacturers. So these are two bills that will be categorized as the iron pipeline bill. So that's what we want to do. We want to definitely interrupt the iron pipeline, especially coming from Washington Heights and Inwood, because as you know, because of where we're situated next to the highways, we're just the perfect spot for a throughway for gun trafficking. So that's what we want to make sure we put an end to. Thank you.
Okay. In terms of having a representative on the committee, I think we should discuss that as a public safety committee. And so we all know who our members are. And so do you want to wait till next committee? What do you think? Do you want to put somebody up tonight, or do you want to think about it and put somebody up next month? Opinions, please. Anybody?
I'm not on the committee, but I would say the sooner the better.
Well, committee members, what do you think? Gabriella, OC, Joseph,
I feel that we should maybe wait because Domingo is not here tonight. But then again, if it's urgent to have somebody join that task force, then maybe we should do it tonight.
the main activity of the task force right now appears to be the march on Sunday, and then the legislation that Senator Jackson is developing. So that's urgent, but not urgent, you know? I mean, we've already, as a committee, we're getting stuff out about the march. We're doing that.
Yeah, and I actually sent the flyer to Ebenezer yesterday.
Okay.
But actually, and you'll hear, I guess, either if you go to the press conference or afterwards, after it's covered, we actually have 3 different projects that are coming up within the month. The urgency is really relative to how you feel about being part of informing our next steps. So the invitation is really to be very inclusive, since we're definitely covering topics that overlap. And I just think it's important that we're in sync, we're mutually in sync with our efforts.
Okay.
Okay, so maybe maybe tonight we have to decide who is joining the task force then.
I think we should wait off because it's a fairly new proposal, and we should wait for more members to be present so we can really share the opportunity. Because what about if we don't come to an agreement? I think the more people know, the better. However, we can still have maybe somebody temporary there for the moment until we reach others.
The members we're missing tonight are Domingo, Daniel Bonilla, and Genesis Salas. We're missing those 3 members. Oh, and Danielle Jetu. But see, Danielle hasn't been around for months. She works full-time and she started going to law school. So it's really kind of dicey if she's going to be around. So it's really those 3, Domingo, Genesis. Yeah, really Domingo and Genesis are the ones that, and Danielle Bonilla. Those 3 are the 3 that are missing tonight. We have most people here. We have Jumirna, Gabriella, Joseph, OC, and myself. And then we're missing 3. Your idea of having someone interim, I think, is very good, Jumirna. Would you, and like Johanna said, we were really emphasizing on working with youth. Like you teach at A. Philip Randolph. How would people feel if just on an interim, Jumirna represented us and brought back a feeling of what's going on? How would people feel about that? What do people think?
if she agreed to do it, then in my view, great.
What do you think, Joseph?
I'm okay with that.
Jamirna, would you have the time?
It depends, you know, I'm still fairly new, trying to really learn my role. So I will have to pass on that at the moment.
Well, you know, you're not, think of yourself as an observer and a information taker, like getting the feel of something. There's no better way to learn to swim than to jump in the water.
Oh yeah, definitely, for sure. I'm very open to it, but right now at this given moment, I am not signing myself up for it. So I rather, you know, a little bit, like I want to pace myself into it. So I definitely am open of going. Like I can go observe and then be able to decide, but I'd rather not be appointed or like nominated.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Observer status.
I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I'll show up, but just not at the moment. I don't want to confirm.
Exactly. Observer status, and then come back and give your impressions. That would be, and also give your impressions, like how much work you think it's going to be. What do you think our responsibilities should be? What's going on the committee? You know, that kind of thing. How much work you think it'll be. And then that'll give us the information necessary to appoint a permanent person. Right.
But maybe Johanna can tell us more about how much time involved or what is involved and what the expectation, so we can all hear about that, and maybe Jamirna feel, all right, I can do it, no problem. You know, I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I'm just.
She's a new member to CB12. I think she kind of wants to get her feet wet on everything first a little bit.
Totally get that, but I think it will be important to hear from Johanna, like how much you'll vote.
What are these three projects coming up, Johanna? What are these three projects?
One is okay.
Johanna?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. So one project includes the Gun Bite Back program. Another project includes a youth, very specific youth arts program. And the other project involves distribution of resources, which we have a
What's
whole.
that?
Literally, you'll be able to scan a QR code, and it'll take you to resources for mental health services, youth programming, and job opportunities and other events.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Are you doing the buyback program with the 33rd and 34th?
Nope, we're doing it with the CBO. Of course, they know because we have to work with NYPD, but we're doing it with a community-based organization that will be paying for the reward. And we also had a conversation with the DA's office because, you know, of course, the DA.
Some of them will be illegal guns. Which CBO?
It's called the Oyate Group. They're known in the Bronx as Bronx Rising, and here they're known as Uptown Rising, but their umbrella group is called the Oyate Group. So those are the three projects, but I do want to frame what the work feels like, and I totally understand Jamina's hesitancy. More important than being a CB12 member is being a member of this community, because that is what has been informing our projects. What comes out of these task force meetings is whatever everyone's putting into it. And we as an office, we did start it, we did initiate it, and we are providing a lot of technical assistance, but we do at some point want to transition so that this task force can be more autonomous, so it could continue community driven. So Jamina can come, but it's not like you get homework. It's like, okay, this is what we're going to do next. How do you feel about it? So that we can continue moving forward. It's feedback. How often do we meet? In the very beginning, Sally, to answer your question, because the issue was so urgent and people were so, we have to do something, it was every 2 weeks, because we had speakers, the DA came to speak to us, we had violent interrupters speak to us, we had other individuals speak to us so that everyone's on the same page as to what public safety is. So that's what it is.
Okay.
Yeah. Right now, we actually, right now we're kind of meeting every month or every 2 weeks, but everything we do is a shared decision. It's consensus, guided. Go ahead.
How many people are on the, I guess, the task force?
It fluctuates because no one
A
gets.
dozen?
No, it's closer to 20, 23. I have to check.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, Yodali's just who's on the call. 45. There's 45 members, and it fluctuates in terms of how often they go. You don't. There's no like, what happened to you? You didn't come to the meeting. It just means that we didn't hear your voice for that next action, or the next agenda. So you all can decide. I just really wanted to really open the door, and just remind you that you are part of this this task force. And I can come regularly and give updates as well.
Yeah, I think it would be great if you went to this, Jamirna, and just like you said, observed, gave some ideas, brought them back to the committee and such. I think it would be a great experience and a great, as you said, a way to really get your feet wet. I think it would be great.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. I think so too. I don't necessarily feel hesitant about it or feel like it's an obligation of any sort. I just, at the moment, I'm just really trying to pace myself with the things that I do. And I love to start off as an observer. I feel very confident that I could do it, but I really would like to pace myself.
So is that a yes or a no?
That's a TBD, to be decided.
Mina, if you would like, I could meet you at the march and we could go together on Sunday if you're available. This is Sally. Sorry.
Well, she's pacing herself. She may or may not be at the march. She's a first couple years teacher. There's a lot of lesson planning.
I'm actually not a teacher. I'm not a teacher. I'm a college guidance counselor.
Oh, okay, but still,
College
that's a lot of planning.
Yeah.
A lot of planning.
But we can definitely talk, Sally. We can definitely talk about it.
Great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I know that Julio seems to have a question.
Can I go, Barbara?
Yeah, sure, of course.
Sure, thank you.
Sure.
So I just have a quick question regarding legislations. And we all know that there's a gun pipeline from the south, but also, one of the bigger issues I think that's coming up is really these ghost guns, where you just print them on your computer. People order these things from different sources. You get it at home through your mail. You build it, and 20 minutes you have your own gun, non-traceable. So what efforts are being sort of looked at in terms of legislatively to curb some of these activities, whether it's someone getting one piece from one source and another piece from another, and then boom, you have it. So what measures are being taken?
So there is, so thank you, Julio, for that question, because I think it's important for everyone to really ponder that reality, that technology is really hurting us right now. So that piece of gun violence is actually being considered also in the legislature. There's different kinds of, there's legislation is either pending or about to be introduced to address just that, because the legislature is recognizing that ghost guns are also an issue. In fact, our upcoming gun buyback program is also going to give rewards for ghost guns and also for imitation guns. All scaled, of course, but there will be rewards for that.
If I can also just jump in, Julio, I just wanted to let you know that we're also very much active in working with our local electeds in terms of ghost guns, tracing where these parts are coming from, making sure that these companies that are selling these parts, because it's not illegal to sell these parts. What's illegal is to create this gun. So just making sure that we are looking into how we're able to trace where these parts came from, and trying to see with our legislators how we can hold these people accountable as well. Like, you just can't sell these parts, to anybody and their mother that orders things through online. There has to be a process and a system in place. So we're also working with our legislators to see how we can, curb the existence of ghost guns, at the very least, in the hands of the people that should not have, authorization to use these parts. So that's also part of the DA's plan to tackle gun violence.
Great, thank you.
And I will end my report by saying that another legislation we do have, which I believe I mentioned also at a previous meeting, is to address the high rate of fires, residential fires. We have legislation that calls for automatic inspections of the electrical wiring and infrastructure at the point of lease renewals.
Great.
Okay, I guess that's it. So, all right, so Jamirna will think about going to the task force meetings, and will let us know in a couple days, I guess. And if not, we'll maybe pursue somebody else. But I hope you do it, Jamirna. All right, let's see if there's anybody else who needed to speak. I don't think so. I think we are done. Do you have anything else to say, Julio?
Yes, thank you. Just a couple of things. One, again, I just want to continue to flag for the Public Safety Committee, the issue of Broadway, 168th, 169th, 170th, the issue of, of enforcement and safety. So I know that last meeting, they said they would do some more patrols. I just want to be able to re-ask the committee to keep that in mind as we go forward.
33rd isn't here. I'm sorry to interrupt, but 33rd isn't here tonight.
Right.
Have you
right.
contacted the NCOs directly?
Yeah, we have, but they were here last month and they said they were going to do some additional patrols. So I just want to be able to make sure that we keep that under the radar.
Okay.
The other thing is,
Julio, can you call me tomorrow so we can talk also, so I can see how I can help you?
oh, sure, absolutely. I would love to. I'll do that. Yeah. The other thing is, during the last meeting of the board, the general meeting, I sent Domingo and Steve Simon a little note on two things. One is, of course, it's tragic, shooting of these two officers who really are community boys. And these are young men who were just starting their lives and were gunned down. I thought that I'll offer two recommendations, and I just want to echo them here because I'm not sure whether, some of this is something where the Public Safety Committee could sort of piggyback on and do. But one was really, Jason was very active. One of the playgrounds up in Inwood, I suggested that it'd be great if there was some sort of resolution by either this committee when I spoke to Domingo, or whoever else within the board committee, to have that playground renamed in honor of Jason and perhaps Mora, since they perished together. Would be nice because that's where they were and that people remember them using those playground. The other thing was, it's unfortunate that, there's a lot of grieving and, taking place now. And unfortunately, come a few months from now, this will be sort of in the back of our minds. And so I just figured that one of the things also suggested to them was really to have a sort of Jason Rivera and Wilbert Mora First Responders Community Day, something that could be done on an annual basis to honor not only these falling officers, but also our first responders, our fire department, our EMTs, so that, these tragedies happens all the time, unfortunately, and I'm sorry to say this is going to continue to happen, but we need to honor our first responders. And I think that it'd be great if this board could establish a day when we honor these first responders on an annual basis. So I just want to be able to echo that and say, for this committee also think about that.
That's a great.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent idea. I wouldn't do that as a reso tonight because I think we should contact the 33rd and the 34th and see what day, when they think that would be a good idea. And also, since we're talking about first responders, Julio, where in New York Pres, where what would be a good day, a good time, what time of the year?
So I'm not sure. I mean, this is really, I'll leave that up to the community. I mean, we at the hospital, before COVID, did have an event where we honored our first responders, and I would be more than happy to really roll in and use those resources that we use for those to do something that would be more broadly with the community board to honor all the responders on a date that the committee and the board feels is more appropriate.
Also do it as one event. All right, so why don't you send the committee members like an email describing what you did for that event, and then that can give us some idea of what the event should look like in the community, because it should be a community event, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
And then I'll contact Inspector Andrea and the community affairs people, and then also in the 33rd, and get some input from them. So it's really something meaningful, something really, that's better than just saying, oh, this is an appreciation day. That's, let's think it through. Let's think it through.
Right.
All right. So that'll be for next month.
Okay.
I mean, you'll bring it back, but send in the interim, send us that. Chanel will give you the emails of the committee members, and then you can send that to the committee members. Okay.
Okay. Sounds like a plan.
A plan. Okay. All right. Anything else, anybody?
Yeah, I have old business.
Okay.
So I just want to say that we had a discussion about microchipping event, bringing to the ASPCA.
Yes.
Okay. So I did contact the ASPCA. I just want to say I have no reply yet, but I'm waiting for the reply, and I will try to speak to somebody that I know over there and see if we can get an event for the spring/summer.
Okay, excellent. In process.
Yeah.
Okay, great. All
And
right.
one thing
And
quick-
that also is in keeping with that. We're going to keep following up on these minutes and make sure that we follow through. One of our goals is to follow through and have completion on things we talk about. Excellent. Okay.
I have one thing really quickly. I mentioned it to the fire department, but it also needs to be mentioned to the police department, to the DA's office, et cetera. We are in the process of setting our budget priorities for next year. And so if everyone could put their thinking caps on and think of what the community board should be asking city council for and the city of New York for in terms of funding. And Julio, we'd love to have your brain in there too.
Yeah. Anyways, sounds good. All right. So in terms of goals, I'm going to wait till we really get the full board here with Domingo and Danielle and such. So I move that we adjourn. Anyone second that?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye, aye.
Aye. Everyone else?
Aye. I'm not a member, but aye.
Aye.
Yeah. Joseph? What do we have here? Joseph, yes?
Yes. Oh, I thought I had my camera on. I did this.
Oh,
I'm
okay. Yeah.
sorry.
You didn't have your camera on.
Okay.
Okay. All right. You're all in favor. And then, oh my God, we lost some of these other members. So I guess that's it. We are out of here. Okay. So good night.
Good night, everyone.
Night.
Okay. Meeting was okay. All right. Okay. Good night.